Welcome back to another video on this channel, Hardcore Spirituality. I'm your host, Johan. The title of this video is, Are AA Newcomers Being Radicalized? And radicalized means this. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know I'm going to look up a word for its definition, and at this point we're in the 1951 Thorndike-Barnhart Dictionary. Radicalized isn't in here, but radical is, and it says favoring extreme changes or reforms. Are there extreme changes and reforms in AA that AA newcomers favor? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Well, let's start at the beginning. So I have the AA Big Book, published in the late 1930s, and then I have the 12 and 12 published in the mid-50s. So the Big Book, forward to the second edition on, forward to the first edition on page XII says, this is the foreword as it appeared in the first printing of the first edition in 1939. And it says, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. And it says, to show other alcoholics, and then these words are italicized. They're important. To show other alcoholics, and these words are italicized, they're important, precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. What did they recover from? A seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. In the 12 and 12, in the foreword, and it's the page right after the introduction, it says, AA's 12 steps are a group of principles, spiritual in their nature, which, if practiced as a way of life, can expel the obsession to drink and enable the sufferer to become happily and usefully whole. W-H-O-L-E, happily and usefully whole. Happy and useful in your mind and body. So where is this radicalization? How is this departure, extreme departure from what's written in these books? The departure from recovering from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. The departure from becoming happily and usefully whole. The emphasis today is on going to meetings. A radical departure from what's written in these books is what you hear every time you go to a meeting, pretty much every time. Meeting makers make it. That's a radical departure from what I just read. The 12 steps are principles, spiritual in nature. The 12 steps result in a person having the obsession to drink expelled, and they become useful and happily whole. The radical departure of meeting makers make it, it's a radical departure from believing you could recover recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. In fact, those people said, we have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And in italics, it says that's precisely what this book is about. And there's more than just meeting makers make it. That's an extreme departure from the roots of the AA program. If you have adopted that mantra, that meeting makers make it, okay, then there's a good chance you believe if you don't go to meetings or you stop going to meetings, you're going to get drunk. If you believe that if you don't go to meetings every day and you stop going to meetings, you're going to get drunk, you have not recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. In fact, when you believe this mantra and it becomes precisely the root of your recovery, that you have to go to meetings every day, and then if you miss meetings, you're going to get drunk. What has happened, well, what hasn't happened is you haven't recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. You haven't recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, because if you believe you're going to get drunk if you stop going to meetings, you're living in a perpetual state of a hopeless mind and body. If I stop going to meetings, it's hopeless. And that's not precisely what this book is about. It's about recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. You shouldn't be in a perpetual state in fear. And if that's what you do every day, plan your day around a meeting. Maybe your wife or husband says, could you stay home tonight and watch a movie? Or let's go out to eat. And you say, oh, no, I need that meeting. You don't want me to get the way I used to be. That's a perpetual state of a hopeless mind and body. You have not recovered. Okay? You have not recovered if your sobriety is contingent on going to meetings. That means, like what I mentioned in yesterday's video, you have not had that profound personality change sufficient to bring about recovery. There's a benign dictator that runs a group now. They used to be at a counseling facility. Now they're at some rod and gun club place. There's a benign dictator that runs the group now. He told me one time, I had my spiritual awakening, so I know I'm good. If you're living in a perpetual state of fear that if you don't go to a meeting, you'll get drunk, you haven't had that profound personality change sufficient to bring about recovery. If you have 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years and you're still going to meetings whining and complaining about aggressive drivers, the neighbor, the wife, the husband, the kids, the stepkids, what that tells me is you can't cope with life, which is why we drank in the first place. So when you can't cope with life, instead of practicing these principles in all your affairs, You've substituted meetings for a drink. So when you can't cope with life, man, I need a meeting today. I know this is tough to swallow.